Good morning. My name is Rick Schrader. I am a retired orthopedic trauma surgeon, retired last fall after 33 years of practice at a level 1 trauma center, and I'm a licensed battlefield guide here at Gettysburg. I'm here with my friend and associate Fran Fiak.
I'm a retired certified registered nurse anesthetist. I worked with Rick in that same level 1 trauma center. I retired officially in March, although I haven't been working for about 30 years. And our love of Gettysburg brings us here today to share a story that we believe needs told here at the battlefield. Rick, want to tell them what we're going to be talking about?
Sure, Fran. We're standing in the Wheatfield at Gettysburg, and our purpose today is to talk about the medical care that is rendered to the wounded soldiers here in Gettysburg. And we're going to talk about individuals. Gettysburg is a big battle with 51,000 casualties, but we're going to break this down to the individual level. We're going to follow those individuals from the time of their wounding through a well-established system and talk about how that came about and how it benefits the men who are wounded here.
Couldn't we have picked a less complex place to talk about it than the Wheatfield?
But the Wheatfield is the most complicated and interesting part of the Battle of Gettysburg. That's why we're here, Frank.
All right, well, let's do a little segment of it then.
All righty. We're going to follow 4 soldiers who serve in the 148th Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry. This is their monument behind us. These young men are largely out of Center County, Pennsylvania, Bellefonte State College. It is a fairly large regiment by Gettysburg standards. It has 468 soldiers that they bring into this part of the battlefield on July 2nd. These men are part of Cross's Brigade, which is the division, participate in the division-wide counterattack into the Wheatfield. They're commanded here by a gentleman by the name of Boyd McKean. They were formerly commanded by James Beaver, who Beaver Stadium is named after. But Colonel Beaver was wounded at Chancellorsville, so he's not here. We're going to follow 4 individuals from this regiment, but just to put it in perspective, again, with the casualties here, the casualties in these units in the Wheatfield are tremendous. The 148th PA takes 27% casualties, 125 men out of 468, fighting in and around this area here in the Wheatfield. Fran, we've done a number of programs together. You have a great description of how it feels to be wounded, as we're going to talk about some of these individuals.
Correct. One of the things that Rick and I, when you look at maps, you see lines and squares and dots. We always see the people underneath. Now, finding what it feels like to get wounded is a tough search because they don't talk about it. This is the thing you won't hear at the VFW and at your local clubs where vets meet. They don't talk about what it's like to be in combat. So getting that information is a bit of a struggle. You have to pull it out one line at a time. You have to understand, for these soldiers in 1863, untrained soldiers, this is a very foreign thing that's going to happen to them. Combat is the universal phobia. Only 10% of the populace are truly warriors. The rest of us don't want to fight and don't want to be shot at. But this is a different and strange place for them. Coming into a place like this Wheatfield, where the smoke is just laying here because of the weather, is an unusual thing that you cannot practice on a drill field. Right. The men are alone, even though they're with groups of men. Adrenaline, that drug you and I use to save lives in the operating room, is pumping through their systems, trying to save their lives. It is an unusual sensation that these men will report. As the adrenaline pumps through the system, their heart rate races, their blood pressure raises, their breathing gets stronger, their pupils dilate, they can see things better. And all these strange sensations, for years, soldiers believed that that was them being cowards. But now it's being very well documented that these are normal occurrences. Sure. Hearing is different. It's enhanced in battle. When you can't see, your ears get better. And you can hear your heartbeat. You can hear your breathing. Hear your feet on the ground. You can hear the sounds of bullets going over your head. They whistle, they'll say. Those going by your ears, zip, zzzt. They know these sounds that these bullets make when they strike bone. It makes a metallic twang. When it strikes hard tissue, it sounds like a a sack of flour hitting the ground or a pumpkin striking the ground. They can hear all of this. They can hear men around them crying and praying, some laughing incoherently. As this adrenaline works through your system, all your filters drop. We have stories of chaplains walking through these fields cursing and swearing at the top of their lungs. Brave men crying for mother. This is an unusual world. Their entire world is circling in them and enclosing them in a 3.5-foot semicircle they can feel with their hands. When you hear of elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder courage, that's not color, we know that. That's what they're doing. Their hands are out to the side. They don't want to be alone. They can taste the smoke. They can taste the salt if there's any sweat left in them, right? They can smell gunpowder. They can smell urine and feces because that's a normal response of when this happens. This is an unusual thing to do. Your body's responding to fight or flight. They can taste, they can smell, they can hear, they can feel, but they also have a problem. This is 1863. This is the Victorian era. You and I have raised kids. What's the one thing we tell them? Don't fight.
Yeah, don't fight with your brother.
Yeah, and you go to church or religious service every week, thou shalt not kill. Now, you have to do that here in battle.
Yeah.
Now, soldiers and modern police departments, police and modern warriors will say the same things. They get audio intrusions. They're ready to lower the boom on an enemy and they can hear the voice of their wife in the background. Time slows down for them. It's a true fact that they can see the bullet coming most times. They get paralysis at times. Sometimes you'll see soldiers that just can't move. Soldiers will describe screaming, but no voice is coming out. And then once they're wounded, their whole body changes over. Blood is shunted to the center core of your brain and your heart. It picks up. Pain doesn't happen initially. They describe things like burning and pulling and sensations. It doesn't hurt. We know we have soldiers marching on Pickett's charge who actually have a leg removed and don't realize it's missing till they trip and it's down. There's a natural instinct to grab any body part of yours that is dismembered from you. You will instinctively go to put pressure on the wounds and your brain will start racing as your body tries to save yourself. As we talk about these four guys, we're going to talk about their wounds because that's what you and I can see today and their treatment. But they're fighting a whole different battle once wounded, and we've said that. Whether they're blue or gray, they're fighting to see the sun come up tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. And these gentlemen we're going to introduce were very much in the whirlpool of confusion here in the Wheatfield. This is the afternoon of July 2nd, probably about 5:30 to 6 o'clock. The fighting in Devil's Den and Little Round Top has been completed or decreased or is ongoing. This is a part of a massive division-wide countercharge back to take the Wheatfield back and put it in possession of the Union Army. But these four individuals, again, these are four individuals out of almost 500 we'd like to introduce and talk to you about their injuries.
So our first one's going to be this guy. This is Captain Robert M. Forrester. He's going to be 36 here at Gettysburg. He'll be wounded. Now Forrester, this unit, is this the unit that's backwards? Like they go,
like the Irish Brigade?
Yeah, they come in backwards.
No, I think they're in a
line
correct
backwards.
line. Yeah.
But he's here. He is from Center Community, and actually he's the first postmaster at Penn State University. We're going to talk about his wound when we get to the field aid station. John Green, we don't have a picture of. John Green has 5 children, but he is wounded here. And we'll talk about his wounding when we get to the field aid station. And we're going to talk about this guy here. This is Jack Bayard. Buried in Bellefonte. Remember, we tried like heck to find him when we found a relative, but not Jack. But he's wounded here in this wheat field right where we're standing. He's out in the field. Isn't like 2/3 of them are in the woods off to
the line is partially in the woods and partially out here in the open and split up in the terrain that way.
And finally, when you're only 18 years old, to suffer a wound, I mean, I remember being 18, right?
I can't remember being 18.
Yeah, okay, we'll get your photos and your friends to tell you. But when you're 18, you get 3 pimples together on your face.
Yeah.
But here's an 18-year-old from Center County who's going to be wounded in this wheat field. But fortunately for them, Rick, They're wounded 2 years into the Civil War, which gives them a distinct advantage, and that distinct advantage is this guy, am I correct?
That's correct. One of my heroes at this battlefield as a retired orthopedic trauma surgeon, Dr. Jonathan Letterman. And people watching these videos, I'm sure, are quite familiar with Dr. Letterman. We're going to go into some detail on Jonathan Letterman up at our next stop, where we talk about some of the innovations that are now well in place and have been in place through his hard work for almost a year, just over a year, that enables these gentlemen to have a fighting chance to survive some of their wounds.
So, they've fallen, we're in the spot where they've fallen, their comrades are by them. We're going to head to the first stop that they'll go to next.
And the first stop isn't necessarily where these four men
Correct.
went, but it's the best example on this battlefield of what we're going to talk about as a field aid station.
Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Thanks again to Rick and Fran for helping us out with these videos. Subscribe to our channel to stay up to date to the latest videos. Become a member of the National Museum of Civil War Medicine if you want to support programming like this, and we'll catch you in the next video.